Hello, friends. This is Bishop E.C. McKinley, the State Overseer for the Church of God of Prophecy in Tennessee. No one who is watching this video right now has ever been through a time like we are currently facing in our world, and especially for us here in the United States. Our lives have seemingly been turned upside down in just a short period of time. At the direction of our federal, state, and local government officials, we began a process of limiting group meetings. If you will think back, this happened very quickly. At first, it was groups not more than 250 should gather. And then, within a few short days, that changed to no more than 100. Some said no more than 50. And then until we finally got to where we are in Tennessee, when our governor told us no more than 10 in a group. That even then, if it was under 10, you would stay 6 feet apart, wash your hands, wear a mask, wear gloves. Well, that meant that the whole approach to ministry in Tennessee changed in a flash. In less than 30 days, our ministers rose to the challenge by utilizing social media to preach, to teach. They did it by live stream videos on Facebook, by Zoom broadcast, and even YouTube videos. Also, at the same time, we increased the use of Zoom conferencing in the state office and began to have meetings by Zoom conferencing. For example, all of the North American overseers meet by Zoom teleconferencing one day each week, and this has gone on since the beginning of this crisis that we call the COVID-19 pandemic. And from the beginning of this as well, I have conducted a weekly meeting on Zoom conferencing with our district presbyters. Now, the whole purpose of this is to speak with one voice, to be able to push information out so that all of our people can stay connected and can stay informed. Technology is an amazing tool that is at our very fingertips right now. And I want to say publicly how proud I am of our ministers who have embraced it as a way to stay connected as much as possible. You know, one of the greatest things a minister does is called the ministry of presence, simply being there when people are going through difficult times. Well, these social distancing rules have made it very difficult for all of us. It has made it next to impossible to be there when our people needed us. Well, one of the responsibilities of the state overseer is to organize the work of the church on a statewide basis, or if you're in a region of more than one state, in your respective area of responsibility. In my case, the state of Tennessee. A major part of this work that we do in Tennessee is that of our annual summer youth camps. They have been conducted every summer for well over 50 years. And we have one of the premier campground facilities at Camp Hickory Hills. And we're so thankful for the vision of our forefathers to leave this tool to us for ministry. This has been such a great ministry over the years to the church, and some have even described it as the greatest time of revival that we have each year as our youth and our children gather together. They learn more about the gospel of Christ, and they accept Christ into their lives. I agree with that assessment. I believe it is a great time for revival. For generations, we have poured into the lives of the children of our churches and our communities where our churches are at, and we plan to continue doing that in the future. However, with the global COVID-19 pandemic, I am forced to make a decision that concerns the summer camping season for the year 2020. Now, I've waited as long as I possibly could to make this type of a presentation to you, but knowing that our first camp is scheduled to begin on May the 30th of 2020, time is just out. I have to make a decision. Now, I want you to know, I want every one of you to know that I have not taken this decision lightly. And I have agonized over what to do. Originally, I thought by April the 1st I would know something, and then I decided that by April 15th something had to be done. I have sought the advice of the district presbyters who make up what we call our plurality of leadership team in Tennessee. I have consulted and taken the advice of the corporate board of directors. And I've also included our youth camp coordinator, Kim Batson. Now, I have done this separately, and I have done this as late as last night on April the 14th with all of us on a Zoom meeting to discuss this decision that has to be made. Our coordinator also made contact with all of the directors and brought their findings into that Zoom video conference meeting that I conducted last evening with this group of people. Now, I think it's fair to say that a leader makes decisions based on the best possible information that he or she has at the time a decision is made. And as I have already said to you, I have delayed this decision until the latest possible date for one reason only, so that I might have the most information available along with the advice of these groups of people. So I've delayed the decision, but here are some important facts that I have to put on the table that are relative to this decision that has to be made. First of all, number one, in our children's worker policy in Tennessee, well, indeed for the entire Church of God of Prophecy in the Children and Youth Workers Protection Policy, we have declared and stated that our goal is to provide a safe and a loving environment for the youth and the children of the Church of God of Prophecy and those who attend our meetings and our ministries. That's why we conduct regular background checks on all workers, and we have required references along with endorsements for anyone who works with children and teens. We also do annual trainings to make sure everyone has the latest possible information available. So with all of this done, in light of a global pandemic called COVID-19 or the coronavirus, I do not know how we can possibly provide a safe environment, that safe environment that we as a movement have made a commitment to. You see, as I have looked at all of the information and stayed as up to date as I possibly can, I have come to the conclusion that the health risk associated with this virus is just too much to expose our children to in a group gathering where there will be more than 10 people and social distancing would be a nightmare. Imagine, if you will, for just a moment with me, that hundreds of children and teenagers gather together in close quarters, close proximity, possibly passing this virus one to another. You see, our youth camps are populated by campers and staff from all over the state and sometimes out of the state. So if we had children or youth who would attend our camps from rural counties where this virus is at a very, very low rate of spread, that they were suddenly in close quarters with children from high-risk areas, such as the metro areas where the rates are so high, I just simply see no way that we can possibly mitigate the risk of the spread of this virus. So therefore, I lean to the wisdom of the CDC, of the President's task force led by Vice President Mike Pence, and by our Governor Bill Lee and his task force as well. So there's no way that I see that we could mitigate the risk. Number two, our camps are staffed by volunteer workers who most often use their vacation time to work in our summer camps. And boy, do we appreciate that. We could not have these camps without this great staff of volunteers that give their time every summer. And so with the forced shutdown of entire parts of our economy, many of our volunteers who had planned their vacation time around summer camps have been forced to use their vacation and their sick time now to maintain an income for their families. When our coordinator, Kim Batson, polled the workers, she found this to be the case. And so it is indeed information that's not mere supposition, but it is for a fact that we know that we are facing this very real possibility of just an impossible task of securing staff. It has become an insurmountable task at this point in time. Number three, at this point, and I'm talking April the 15th, 2020, I'm making this in the daytime at my office. At this point, we have no idea when the social distancing and self-quarantining, if that's a word, will end. And we do not know when the governor will lift his executive orders. You see, it was supposed to expire yesterday, but because of the spread and because of mitigation efforts, his order extended to the end of this month, and we have no idea whether it may be extended again after that. So, my friends, this is going to be a long, hard pull. Financially, for many of our churches, and indeed for our campground, there is no exception to this fact. You see, we rely on rentals throughout the year to keep our campground physically healthy, fiscally healthy, and physically beautiful, and all that rental income is for the most part lost at this time. So we're facing all of these issues, and we have no idea when this economy will turn around. So all we can do is pray for our neighbors and for our friends that there would be a swift end to this, that we can turn this corner of mitigation and we can get back to life as normal. Now, in light of all of this information, and there are other points that I could have no doubt made, I am forced as the overseer to cancel the summer camps at Camp Hickory Hills for the year of 2020. Now, I know that's a hard thing, and believe me, it has been a difficult decision to make. But however, in consultation with the district presbyters, with our corporate board, our state staff, especially Kim Batson, our camp coordinator, I would like to share a plan with all of you that will, in essence, keep our children and our youth engaged in camping ministry, even though social distancing will not allow us to conduct camps at our campground. So please watch this video all the way to the end to see the bullet points of this plan that we're going to put into place. I know that there is no possible way that what I'm about to tell you will replace that connection that takes place with our kids and our staff at our youth camps, but it is a workable plan that I thank Sister Kim Batson for. I thank all of the guidance of our district presbyters and our corporate board. So here it is. Our plan, number one, a live stream service. So how would this work? Well, if you could imagine with me that on the Saturday night of each camp at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, that's 6 o'clock Nashville time or Camp Hickory Hills time, the evangelist for the camp that was supposed to take place and the worship team will live stream a worship experience so that all of the kids could watch on their computers, on their iPads, their Androids, their iPhones, whatever their parents let them have, and they would be able to experience the worship and evangelistic experience on the Saturday night of their respective camp. So that would look like this. On May the 30th, for senior camp, there would be this live stream worship service. On June the 6th, for our teen camp, the live stream service. On June the 13th, for our preteen camp. And on June the 20th, for those in our junior camp. So if you can imagine it and think about what I'm saying, this would go all the way through to June the 27th on the Saturday nights, June 27th being the Big Shot Camp. There would be a live stream worship experience that our kids and their parents can watch along with them, and everyone get a taste and the flavor of the worship experience that our kids enjoy at Camp Hickory Hills. So, what is the benefit of this? Well, as I see it, this will allow each camper to participate virtually in a live stream worship experience. So that Saturday night live stream worship experience that I mentioned for each of those dates, that is point number one. Point number two of our plan is that we will have our camp-themed devotions. Those of you who've been to camp or you've sent children to camp, you understand that each camp has their own theme, and they make great backdrops and crafts and lessons are themed around whatever that might be for that particular camp. So here's what we'll do. On the Camp Hickory Hills Facebook page, which I hope all of you check often and you like, each director will provide prayer points and devotions connected to their specific camp theme. These devotions and prayer points would be uploaded at 12 noon on the original opening date of the camp. So on the opening date of each camp at 12 o'clock Camp Hickory Hills time, those devotions and prayer points will be uploaded to the Facebook Camp Hickory Hills page. That's number two. Number three, together at Camp Hickory Hills on Saturday, August the 15th. Now, this is the one I am the most excited about, and I think is such a grand idea. If everything is lifted, all the bans of social gathering is lifted, we will have a gathering on that day at Camp Hickory Hills, a day of food, a day of fellowship, and a day of fun for all the campers and all the staff in one big event on that day. We will have age-specific recreation, we will have age-specific activities, and age-specific ministry. So the little kids will have their part, as well as the senior campers will have theirs. And this will end on that night, on August the 15th, will end the night with a youth service for the senior and teen campers and their children's ministry service for the preteen, junior, and big shot campers. So they'll be separated out by age, and each will have their great Saturday night grand finale finish. And so that is, if everything is lifted and we're able to do that, that's point number three. And then finally, point number four is state youth and children's ministry district revivals. So this is how I envision this, that the state staff will work alongside our district presbyters. There are 8 district presbyters altogether in different parts of the state. The state staff will work with the district presbyters to schedule weekend revivals by region in the months of June and July. That is, if and when the COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. If for some reason we can't do it in those months of June and July, we will roll it forward to a time when we can do that. So the whole idea is to keep our kids engaged, to keep our kids connected. The social media has proven to be a wonderful tool that can be used for just such events. So I invite you to embrace the plan and help me by clicking share on this video. Now, while these things will not replace summer youth camp and the youth camping experience, it will keep our young people connected and allow us to reach out to as many as possible with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So it's a plan. We will not have the summer camps as normal, but we are replacing it with this plan and trying to keep us all together. So finally, allow me to share a thought with you. Many years ago, in 1998 to be exact, my family and I moved to Billings, Montana. It's Billings, Montana. On a tour bus going through that city, a man by the name of Joel Hemphill wrote a song. And I knew what he meant once I moved to Montana about wind. And the title of that song that Joel Hemphill wrote was The Master of the Wind. Well, part of the lyrics go like this. I know the master of the wind. I know the maker of the rain. He can calm the storms and make the sun shine again. I know the master of the wind. I love that song. I used to sing it at church when I was a pastor quite often. This COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic has blown across the earth like a wind, and it has changed the everyday life for literally billions of people. And it is indeed a storm that we are all going through together. None of us have been exempted by this storm. However, I want to remind you of this. As children of God, as believers and followers of Jesus Christ, we know the master of the wind. We know him personally. When you have accepted him into your life and into your heart, you can be assured of several things. That he is the one who calmed the seas and the winds by simple words, peace be still. And this same God who sees the sparrow when it falls to the earth, sees each one of us who are worth much more than a sparrow. And this Lord Jesus Christ, whom we serve, he loves us so much, he never takes his eyes off of us. I want you to let that settle in. He loves you so much, he never takes his eyes off of you. So here's my challenge to you as I bring this video to a conclusion. I challenge you to read Psalm chapter 91 as soon as this is over with. And then read it often. Read it every day if you have to. And remember that the one who calms the storms lives in you. And that same one can hold you and protect you under the shadow of his wings if you will allow him to do it. So thank you for your time. I do hope you will help me by clicking share to add this video so that many of our folks can see it. I will be sending a manuscript of this video to our district presbyters to share with all of the pastors and local churches. So until the next time that I greet you by Facebook Live or some other way, if ever I get to greet you personally again, I want to say that God loves you, and so do I. Amen.